Today we will see the anatomy of the scapula. Introduction point of view, simply answer, it is the bone of the shoulder. On looking to it, it is flat, so it classified into a flat bone. The shape is triangular, so it has the three borders, three angles and two surfaces, 1, 2, 3 processes, 1, 2, 3. So the scapula has three borders, superior border, medial border, lateral border, two surfaces, anterior or the costal surface, posterior or the dorsal surface, three processes, the coracoid process, the spinous process, the acromion process. For determining the side, remember, we need the 3 points. Any 1 point about the superior and inferior. Here you note the superior border of the scapula is the smallest. So this is the superior border. So the opposite is the angle that we call the inferior angle. The second point we need is about the medial and lateral. On the lateral side, the scapula is articulating with the head of the humerus. So here you find the lateral border, here you find the medial border. Again, we can also verify the medial border is very thin, the lateral border is thick. So we verify the lateral and medial too. Now the question of anterior and posterior. Remember, the anterior surface we also call costal surface is concave, while the posterior surface, dorsal surface is convex, and also it presents attachment of spinous process on it. So we determine this. This is the anterior, this is the posterior, this is the lateral, this is the medial. Right? This is superior and this is inferior. So naturally this belongs to the right side. Same way, suppose this is the specimen with us. So now again the smaller border is the superior border, the inferior angle opposite to it. The medial border is thin, the lateral border is thick. Again on the lateral side at the upper it presents a glenoid angle. So this is the lateral side, medial side. The concave surface is anterior and the convex surface is posterior. So this is the anterior and the posterior. So naturally this is the left scapula. Now we will see the different parameters, different features of the scapula. First we will see the three borders. These are the three borders. Among these three, the superior border is smallest. On the superior border, it also presents a notch that we call the suprascapular notch, as it is above the scapula. So the name given suprascapular notch. This notch is bridged by a ligament and converted into a foramen. We call suprascapular foramen. In some specimen, you may also notice the foramen, complete foramen. In some specimen, you notice the notch. So this we call the suprascapular notch on the superior border. Now about the medial and the lateral border. The medial border is thin, the lateral border is thick. Again on the lateral side at the upper end you find the articular disc like area that we call the glenoid angle or glenoid cavity. This glenoid cavity accommodates the head of the humerus and form the articulation shoulder joint. We also call the glenohumeral joint. So this is about the three borders. Now about the two surfaces. The anterior surface, as it is facing towards the ribs, we also call the costal surface. It is concave. If you see the direction of it, it is facing downward and medially. And because of that, on the lower side, it creates one fossa, which is lying just below to the scapula. So that is why we call subscapular fossa. Same way, the dorsal surface is convex. On the dorsal surface, there is a presence of spine, and this spine divides the dorsal surface into two parts. Above to the spine, the surface is again presenting a fossa that we call supraspinous fossa, and below to it that we call the infraspinous fossa. Both the fossa are connected on the lateral side in the form of a notch. This notch is between the spine and the glenoid cavity. So we call it spinoglenoid notch. Now the two angles. This is the superior angle found between the superior border and the medial border. This is the inferior angle found just opposite to the superior border between the medial and the lateral border. And the lateral or the articular angle, this articulates with the head of the humerus. Now the three processes. There is the coracoid process, there is the spinous process and the acromion process. First we will see the coracoid process. Coracoid process is like a beak of crow and accordingly the name given coracoid process. It has the tip, free tip and the root. Then the spinous process. Spinous process is triangular. So it has the posterior border, it has the lateral border and it has the anterior or the attached border. The role of the spinous process is it divides the scapula into two surfaces or two fossae, supraspinous fossa and the infraspinous fossa. The posterior border of it is thick and enlarged in the form of a H, linear H, and that we call the crest. The other process that we call the acromion process. This is forming the highest point on the shoulder. The highest point for that, the anatomical word is acro. The shoulder also called the omo. So this is the highest point of the shoulder. So the word came acro plus omo means acromion. On the acromion process, on the medial side, it also presents one facet. This facet articulates with the acromial end of the clavicle and form the acromio-clavicular joint. So this is about the presenting part of the scapula. Now we will see the attachments. First we will see the attachment on the costal surface. On the costal surface, this concave area we call the subscapular fossa. This gives origin to the subscapularis. On the medial border, here you find there is the insertion of serratus anterior muscle. This serratus anterior muscle is having the 8 digitation. The first digitation is inserting into the upper part from superior angle to the root, while the next 2 digitation is inserting into the medial border of the costal surface from root of spine to the inferior angle, while this inferior angle of it gives insertion to the 5 digits of the serratus anterior. Then you find there is the coracoid process. The tip of the coracoid process gives origin to coracobrachialis and short head of bicep muscle. At the root of the coracoid process, you find there is the insertion of pectoralis minor muscle. Then, just on the either side of the glenoid cavity, just above the glenoid cavity, there is a one elevation that we call the supraglenoid tubercle. Same way, on the inferior side, there is another elevation that we call the infraglenoid tubercle. This supraglenoid tubercle gives origin to the long head of bicep muscle, while this infraglenoid tubercle gives origin to long head of the tricep muscle. On the dorsal side, the supraspinous fossa gives origin to the supraspinatus. The infraspinous fossa gives origin to infraspinatus. If we go along with the spine and the adjoining acromion process, the upper border of the spine and the medial border of this acromion gives insertion to the trapezius muscle, while the inferior border of the spine and the lateral border of the acromion, this adjoining part gives origin to the deltoid. On the superior angle, there is the origin of the levator scapulae. It is attaching to the upper end, so naturally it elevates the scapula on the contraction. So that is why the name given levator scapulae, elevating the scapula. On the or near to this suprascapular notch, there is the attachment of a muscle, inferior belly of homohyoid. The name given because the muscle extending from hyoid to the shoulder. For shoulder we use word omo, and for hyoid, so the inferior belly of homohyoid. Same way, the inferior angle, you find there is the attachment of latissimus dorsi. On the dorsal side, again on the lateral side, here you find first there is the origin of teres minor, while in the lower part you find there is the origin of teres major. On the medial border and the dorsal surface, in this area you find there is the insertion of rhomboideus minor, while on the lower half you find there is the insertion of rhomboideus major. Here you find the articulation. The articulation is with the shoulder joint, so you find various ligaments. The ligaments are the capsular ligament of the shoulder joint. At the glenoid cavity, there is a cartilaginous disc attached that we call the glenoid labrum. There are other few ligaments along with the coracoid process. One from coracoid process to acromion, coraco-acromion ligament. From coracoid process to humerus, there is a coraco-humeral ligament. And from coracoid process to the clavicle, there is the coraco-clavicular ligament. So this is how you find the attachment on the scapula.